Hello. This is David, and I'm going to demo the zkao tool. This is how you pronounce it. We just released the version 1.2.0 of the Brie collection. That's how you pronounce it. It's a French cheese. And if you've never seen it, and I guess we haven't really shown it since it's we tend to approve companies that we know and this kind of thing. So if you haven't gotten approved or if you don't have access to the app, this is what it looks like. Um, and I just wanted to give you a demo to sort of give you a sense of how people use it and run it and etc. So the first thing you do usually is you create a project, but I don't want to leak the projects that I have or what's really running on this website. But usually you will see something like that. You can get a plan. The plans are it's public. You can see that information, but I guess it's rewritten here. We have the starter, standard, plus, and there's an enterprise one that's behind my video. I don't know if you can see it. Most companies that we're dealing with are on the enterprise plan just because they run this a lot on large code bases. But know that you can always start with a starter plan, and this usually covers 1 to 2 heavy scans. And I'm going to talk more about these kind of scans in a minute. But if you want to run lighter scans, you can run more on the starter plan. Anyway, so oh yeah, and there's an API stuff. If you want, you don't have to use the UI. You can just ask your agent. We have a skill and an API, so you can just launch projects, launch scans, check the status of scans, and triage your findings just talking to your agent if you want. A project has one billing center. This is how it works. You can invite your team members, etc., and then you can add repositories and private repos, public repos. We only support GitHub so far, but if people want us to support more, we can do that. And once you added a repo, then you'll see your repository here, and you'll see that since we launched the version 1.2.0 today, this is already outdated. This is mostly a signal for users so that they know when we have new versions, and new versions usually tend to find new bugs just because we continuously improve and teach zkao how to find bugs that we find in real audits. So you sort of benefit from that, and we encourage you to run more scans. Even if you don't have an update, we also encourage you to run more scans on the same commits. Just because the more you run these scans, the more coverage they get. Some of these scans basically learn and get better over time, and so it's not clear exactly how many scans you need to run to reach a threshold. I think some people did some studies, and in other systems, sometimes it's 10, sometimes 100. I think over time we'll get an idea of when things start plateauing, but as long as you run it and it finds bugs, there is no reason to not run it again. So if you want to run scans, you'll go to this page and you can choose a branch, commit, whatever. You can add some guidance. Usually you can commit a zkao.md in your repo, but if you want, you can also just in the settings, change it here. In the setting of your repositories. So this is a specific repo. So you can go in contexts and you can add some guidance or some PDFs and some additional data. But when you're scanning something, let me go back here and try to run a scan. When you're scanning something, you can also edit the guidance on the fly. And this thing is very important if you want to decrease the number of false positives and or only audit part of the repository you're looking at, just like specific directories or packages and so on. But if you leave it blank, we'll continuously, there's a calibration of zkao, and zkao will continuously sort of try to learn how to be guided by itself, both by asking you questions. So you'll see questions that pop up in the UI from times to times, and by suggesting changes to this file. So that's something you'll see more as you run scans. Finally, you have different scan types. zkao, this is the cheapest one, and basically only runs 2 bug finding flows: Snark Sentinel, the original flow that we had, and Invariant Hunter. zkao Pro is on the latest models. So this one uses mini models, basically. Think Sonnet or mini models from OpenAI and these kind of things. Oh, by the way, we always run random models, state-of-the-art models, and random ones every time you run a scan. So just for that, you should try to run a scan multiple times because you will get multiple models, and you might find different bugs because of their different trainings. We don't yet use our own models, but this is something we're investigating, and I think over time we'll want to propose that. Know that we use different models behind the scene, and mostly models where we have access to an API, or we can use it locally, or these kind of things. But we haven't fine tuned anything yet. Um, we basically implemented, like, I would say, like 1% of all the ideas that we have, and fine tuning a model is going to be one of them. But there's so much space to explore, and we keep improving the tool that um, it's a long journey, and we were overwhelmed by the amount of things that we're trying to launch here. Um, just so you know, we have a full team, a team working on that full time, and we're basically, I think, for the last weeks, maybe we've released like one version every week. Like we've been pretty productive, maybe one version every 2 weeks. We've been very productive, and we keep improving the tool. um, Anyway, so what I would recommend is to use zkao max. This is better for cryptography code bases. It has a bunch of different flows that attempts different things. We've automated different ways to find bugs. Some of them use internal tools that we built specifically to find bugs. Some of them will use papers to sort of try to find papers, and find attacks in the world to sort of guide them. There's all sorts of techniques that we use here, and maybe I'll talk more about that in a future video. And the goal also of these things is that we don't find too many false positives. We're really trying not to surface false positives to users. We want to be this tool that you run periodically, but not too often. And um, it's not noise to developers. It's supposed to be really surfacing good stuff that is useful to you, and not just like, random review comments and stuff like that. So anyway, I could run a scan. I'm not gonna run it because right now a lot of people are running scans in production, so I don't want to mess with that. But the other one is that there's a minimum credit budget. This is basically, or rather maximum credit budget. This is basically what you buy when you pay for zkao, and this tells the tool that you don't want to spend more than 10,000. So we'll try to keep the scan within budgets. If you use zkao, it's cheaper, 1,000. But if you use zkao max, the cheapest is going to be 10,000 credits. If we don't use all of that, you'll get it back. And if you use more than 10,000, we'll pay for it. So usually it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it goes over, and we'll just pay for it. So this is really the maximum that you're going to pay. And if it's not enough, and we see that agents sort of run short because of this limitation, we'll tell you that, and we'll try to tell you to try to increase that budget. We can look at scans. Findings gives you all the findings that were found for all the repositories. So here we only have, I guess there is only one repo. You can sort of like fuzzy search. You can check different commits, the different branches, whatever. You can read things, or you can read all of the findings if you want. And you can easily, copy to Markdown if you want. You can change the status. You can change the severity if you want. Whenever you do this and you add comments to the finding, agents will see what you're doing and will learn from what you're doing. So not only they'll ask questions based on what they don't really understand about the code base, but they'll also look at user signals implicitly, and try to learn from that. And they might suggest changes to that guidance, or ask you more questions. So this is important. I mean, this is useful for people to triage their findings, but it is also important for agents. And then we have this notion of scans. If we do manual audits with zk security, we actually add them here as manual audits. But triage by you means that someone set it as a false positives. So this was a scan. You can sort of see what happened in the scan, what files were read by the agents, how long it took to complete, what the agents did. and try to cover. And at the end, you sort of get an idea of how much credit was used. So this is a pretty small repository, so only 4,000 credits were used. What kind of scan is this? A zkao Pro, so that's not even the most expensive scan. For a zkao Max with a large code base, usually we see like 7,000 credits being used these days. And yeah, just to give you an idea. And yeah, so same thing. You can look at the findings here. You can read them. You can check if they make sense to you, and triage them and find them in the findings tab as well. I think that's pretty much it, or at least that's what I wanted to show. Oh, maybe I'll show you one more thing. But if you want to like share these things, of course you can invite people to the project, team members, but you can also publish things. So you can publish, or you can copy it to Markdown, but you can publish a finding, even protect it with a password, and then you get a public page that you can share. And you can do that with scans. So you can publish a scan, you can publish your findings, or you can create reports, including multiple scans. So here we only have one scan. Where is that? Don't we have two? Oh, this one was canceled. Right. I think that's all I want to talk about. This is the application. This is being used by some zk projects in the space, or cryptography projects, and this is already finding extremely good bugs. It has found all sorts of proof forgeries and unsound gadgets and these kind of things. We've run it on well-known bugs that have happened in the past recently, like the Zcash bug or these kind of things. And either it doesn't find them. In this case, it finds them. Or when it doesn't find it, we make sure that we teach zkao to find these bugs. So this is already super useful. This is what we use during audits. Like on day one, we try to run it and see what it finds. This is sort of the baseline now, and I find some really good things. It's very surprising the kind of bugs that we find with it. So yeah, let me know if you want to get onboarded to this project, zkao.io. Let me know if you have any questions, but we're pretty excited about putting this product out there for people to use. We think it's going to change how people approach security. So audits, manual audits, are really something that are point in time, and you get a team of experts, and they're quite expensive. And we see this as sort of completing manual audits, where you can have this continuous security and run it as many times as you want. If you have a lot of money, you can just run it kind of like fuzzing in a very expensive way and continuous way. And if you have you have less budget, it's a risk management story, right? Everybody has a budget for security. Everybody has a certain risk that they want to get under. So that's a calculation everybody has to do, or their security team has to do. And zkao is kind of a tool that is going to help get that continuous security, and help people at least reach a baseline in between audits, and make sure that there's no regression. And maybe I can mention that, but we have regression. Here there's nothing to test, but if you have findings that you've resolved, you can check that, and it will specifically check to see if any findings that you found in the past from audits from us or from the scans are resurfacing. And so that plays into this continuous idea of running these things as many times as you want. Cool. Anything else that I need to say? No, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, hope you found this interesting, and if you're interested, reach out to me, and we'll try to approve you in the app.